Hello and welcome, my name is Ansu and today is day 9 of BOOKMAS. Today I wanted to react to 1-star reviews of my favorite books. Let's get into it. Am I gonna hate this? I'm totally gonna hate this, but it's okay. Let's talk about it. The first one I want to talk about is The House in the Cerulean Tea. If you didn't know, I love this book. I thought it was super adorable. The characters were so lovable and just the premise of everything just made me feel so good. I love this book. I love the way this author writes and yeah. Let's see what the people have to say. Let's like chill out and read away. Here's some issues I have with the book which many readers will not. The story is a bit like a fairy tale. I hate fairy tales. Or a fable. I hate fables. The story is all about the kids. I hate kids. Okay, that is not a good start. Having said all these lengthy disclaimers, here's my review. God, it was awful. The book starts out with the humor of discomfort. The MC is a misfit in a toxic workplace with a confined, uncomfortable life, which is true. It is a pretty sad life. There is an air of Dickensian misery. There is an air of Englishness about this whole thing, perhaps the way everyone is trapped in miserable, powerless, damp, grey lives. If you are English and watching my channel, this is not my review. Okay. The book read like a juvenile. At one point I popped onto Amazon to see whether the book was marketed as for kids or young adults, and it is not. The narration talks down to the readers, and the narration talks a lot generally. It is wordy and self-indulgent. Someone has been reading too much Douglas Adams recently and possibly Winnie the Pooh. Oops. This book relies on its cutesy language to carry. The problem is I've read many books written like this, so it's not new. It's like repeating a punchline over and over, expecting it to be funny each time. The plot is absolutely predictable. Linus, a gay, pudgy beta male, is a type of social worker who checks in on magical children and orphanages. He's assigned to investigate, and guess what happens? You're right, blah 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 blah. Dialogue is very trite. Every single line of dialogue is a profound statement designed to show off how deep and wise the author is. Reading the book felt like walking through a museum of inspirational posters, but a miles-long single hallway, because putting them in different rooms would make it too interesting. I almost forced myself to finish this one since I'm so far in, but was frustrated and bored with the story and decided I really needed to stop wasting time on subpar books. One of the characters is a 6-year-old who's supposed to be the Antichrist. It's kind of true. That was a little kind of messed up, to be honest, but I thought it had like a funny touch to it, the way that it was kind of described. I really hated the Antichrist, but this is ultimately fantasy fiction, and turning the Antichrist into a child in a story that appears to be aiming for a cute, quaint vibe really rubbed me the wrong way. This other review was not a fan of the way that each sentence basically started off as a new paragraph. It says to sound like a Saturday morning cartoon voiceover. But that's not the biggest pet peeve. I'm all for messages reinforcing tolerance and acceptance and queer found families, but I cannot say this is an elegant vehicle for those. This book is extremely repetitive and preachy. Every other character fawns over him immediately and eager to compliment Linus on his specialness and kindness, which yeah, it's actually kind of true. It does repeat itself quite a bit throughout the entire book, I think. Okay, let's move on to A Man Called Uva. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was a very good book. It was very slow, but I had a good time reading it. Let's see what people have to say about this. I stopped after listening to Uva's bad moods after 6 hours. With only 3 hours to go, I abandoned the book. That's okay. I kind of get that. Like, there were times where I almost gave up on this book. I think I started reading this in January and I gave up on it for like 2-3 months, and then I decided to pick this up again and I really enjoyed it. So it does take time, but I did like it. By the end of it, I thought it was just a solid book. But I get where this person is coming from totally. Please, please, I beg the god of books, no more novels from Swedish authors who only seem to be able to write stories about grumpy old men who are supposed to be delightful in their curmudgeonly ways, but instead are irritating as hell. I forced myself to read about 43 pages, but couldn't make it any further. I completely understand that, and I stand by what I said earlier. It takes so much time to read this book. It is very slow paced as well, and then you see Uva just being this really grumpy old man and you're just like, are you kidding? Like, I'm done. You can totally drop this book, and I understand where people are coming from with this one, but yeah, I totally get that. There's more of those kind of comments, like it's just Uva who's just being very grumpy, and I get that. I totally understand. I'm gonna go for 6 Crimson Cranes, which is something that I read very recently, and I wanted to know if there are some really bad reviews on that, because I really enjoyed the book. I thought it was a fun book to read this year, and yeah. The award for most disappointing book goes to It's my fault. I broke my first rule. First and foremost, this read like a middle grade novel. When she said she was almost 17, I honest to God didn't even believe it. She acted and spoke so childishly that it was really inconceivable that she was a young adult, let alone one who was of age to get married. I get that. I was really annoyed by the main character for a little bit because like she didn't seem to make any choices that were rational, but I understood it in a way because she was a young kid. Like she was the youngest of her siblings, and I understood like why she was kind of acting that way. It made sense because she was like probably babied to an extent. And another comment that was made was, I also couldn't tell a single one of her brothers apart. This is so true. She has 6 brothers, and the youngest one is the only one I could kind of tell apart, but everybody else just kind of mushed together, and I didn't know anyone. I didn't care about it. Completely understand. DNF, I think I've read enough and skimmed enough. I'm sorry, but I was very bored while reading Six Crimson Cranes. It is exactly like most YA fantasy books that I've read and tried to read before. Practically all the cliches and tropes are here. The super special heroine, the characters are unlikable and horrid, the rare magical powers. Most of the females are either villainous or idiotic, while the males are heroic, smart, worldly, and who actually help move the plot along. Yikes. There's no LGBTQ content as far as I could spot. To be fair, it might be that I've misunderstood a lot of the book through skimming. However, I know enough about its plot progressions, convolutions, cliches, and twists to be annoyed at them. I kind of get that. It says all the tropes that you find in YA in general, so I understand where this person is coming from. And I don't think there was any LGBTQ content in here either. Like, I can't remember anything. That might just be my brain short-circuiting, but I don't think there was anything. Let's start with the millions of plot holes and irrelevant information that was present throughout the story. There were many flashbacks of past memories the main character remembered during her trying times that had absolutely no importance. I agree. I'm actually kind of bashing on the books that I liked, but I totally agree with this one. There were so many plot holes in the book, for sure. But for some reason, I still enjoyed it. I thought it was a good time reading it, so that's just me. I had a good time reading it, so I was able to like look past the plot holes, look past all these stupid decisions that our main character made, and also like the male dominance, I guess. Like all the male characters like, oh, so good, they can save the day, whereas Shuri, our main character, is a dumbass who destroys everything. So I understand where people are coming from with the 1-star reviews, but I personally really did still enjoy the book while I read it, so I'll give it that. I'll definitely continue on with the series to see how it is like for the rest of it. Also, let me know down below what are some unpopular opinions you have of some hyped up books so that I can also read them, and maybe if I really enjoyed them, cry about them later at night, so let me know. Now that being said, if you're new here, hi, welcome, my name is Ansu. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to be notified every single time I upload a new video. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all next time with another one. Until then, I'll talk to you all in the comments. Bye!